Hi, welcome back to Your Skin, Your Health. If you're older than 50 and notice that your night vision is worse, this might be the reason why. Here's what I learned from my recent light adjustable lens surgery. So what is a LAL, or light adjustable lens? Well, let's first start with what is a cataract. A cataract, if you're not familiar with, it is actually a cloudiness of the lens. And eventually it'll get so cloudy that your vision will start getting blurry, your vision will decrease and could even stop. It takes about 5 to 15 years, depending on a lot of circumstances, diabetes, other health conditions, things like that, for a cataract to fully develop. So what is a light adjustable lens? Well, I am now at post-op day 10. I had my post-op day 9 visit yesterday. And I just want to kind of go over everything and talk to you a little bit about what has happened to me over these last 10 days. I have a few notes down here, so I want to kind of go in chronological order of how everything started on this journey. It's been going on now for over a month, and I just am now getting my post-op day 10. So subtle changes. What did I notice? How did I notice that something was happening? As many of y'all know, I am in the medical field. I've been in medicine to some degree for 50 years. I've been a PA since 1993, so depending on how long or when you're watching this video, that tells you how long I've been a physician assistant. So what I noticed is I noticed some very subtle changes, and I apologize, I'm wearing these lenses. First off, let's talk about that. I'm wearing these lenses for a reason, and I will discuss that a little bit later in the video. So what did I notice? I noticed probably before my journey began, I noticed probably about, I would say 2 months, maybe 3 months, some slight vision changes during the daytime. I was noticing that tags on automobiles when I was driving, I had to get a little bit closer to be able to read the tag number. Street signs, I noticed, wow, it's just not as clear as it used to be, what's going on. But what really kicked me off was at nighttime. I don't drive a lot at nighttime just because I'm retired. I don't go out a lot at night. We usually go out maybe once a month or so for dinner. And so I was driving home one night and I told my wife, I said, wow, things are just not as clear as it used to be. So then I started to really pay attention to what was happening during the daytime, and I noticed that my vision was becoming worse and worse. So I called and made an appointment with an optometrist and got in to see her. It took a couple weeks to get in and see her, and she diagnosed me with bilateral, both eyes, cataracts, with my right side being worse than my left side. I had LASIK surgery back about 12 years ago, and so luckily for me, I was able to go to my LASIK surgeon, who now, well, not now, but he also does cataract surgery. So I went to him, which took another 2 weeks to get in to see him. So now we're a month after I've started everything. Started really wanting to seek out care. And I get in to see him. First visit was an extensive eye exam. Of course, he had the recommendations from the optometrist and what she had found, but they did a lot more than just, which is better, A or B, which is better, B or C, that kind of thing that we've all gone through. A lot more in-depth evaluation of my eye. When the doctor came in, he told me that we had a long discussion after his final exam. We had a long discussion of what would be best for me. I chose the light adjustable lens because it will get me to where I want to be at this stage in my life. There are cheaper alternatives, but I really don't want to be wearing glasses. I wore glasses for the first 50 some years of my life, and I'd like to go the rest of my life without having to wear glasses. So we decided on, we meaning my wife, myself, and my doctor, decided that the light adjustable lens would be the best way to go because of two reasons. One, because of I'm a healthy guy, I'm an active guy, and I'm an active outdoor guy. And also because of some of the things that I do. I love photography. I shoot pictures all the time on my travels, and I just didn't want to be wearing glasses while I tried to do that. So we finally set up the appointment to come back. It was like 5 days later for what's called a mapping. In the mapping, they do even more examinations of your eye and get the depth of things and the width of things, and I mean just everything that has to go into this type of surgery. 5 days after that, that was a painless. All these exams are painless. Nothing really that hurts. They put numbing drops in your eye for certain things that they do because it can cause a little pressure to your eye or something like that, but nothing painful. They do dilate your eyes, and so be prepared for that. If you go to a visit for that, you want to be prepared to be driving home with dilated eyes, or preferably go with somebody that can drive you. So what happened after my mapping? Well, about 5 days later, I go in for surgery. Let's back up just a little bit. 2 days prior to surgery, I had to use a product called OcuSoft. OcuSoft is a lens wipe. I wiped them down both eyes, even though I was only getting surgery on my right eye, which was the worst eye, and it's also my distance eye. You had to wipe your eye twice a day, morning and then before bed. The day before surgery, I started my antibiotic drops. It's an antibiotic, it's 2 different antibiotics in a steroid drop. And that is one product, it's just one bottle. I didn't bring it out here because I keep it refrigerated. But one drop in the eye 4 times a day to start. On the day of surgery, you cleanse your eyes with the OcuSoft and you put your drop in before surgery. My surgery was around 8:30, 9 o'clock. It took about an hour and a half because most of that time was getting prepared for the surgery. Of course, they call you back, they get your blood pressure and pulse rate and pulse oximetry, your oxygen levels, and all that nice stuff. And then they start the drops. Because I had LASIX, my doctor really wanted my eyeball dilated. They don't dilate both eyes, just the one that they're doing surgery on. So my drops, normally the nurse told me you get 3 drops, and that's what she had told me up front. My doctor came out after 2. He asked her where we are with the drops. She said, I'm getting ready to give my 3rd. He said, okay. He walked away. He came back after she gave the drops and walked up just to her over at her little desk and whispered something into her ear. He left. She comes back and says, okay, the doctor really wants you dilated, probably because of your previous LASIK surgery. So she gave me 2 more drops, both from different bottles. So apparently there's different strengths, is what I'm told. And when she gave me those last 2 drops, so I had a total actually of 6 drops, but the last 2 drops, when she gave those, she told me, she says, you are going to be dilated for probably 48 to 72 hours. I said, okay, that's no problem. I was planning on staying indoors anyway. So then we had to wait for everything to, get dilated. So usually about 30 to 40 minutes. They come and get me, wheel me back. I go into surgery, and this is a sterile setup. I mean, this is just like an operating room. It's there in his office, but it's a setup operating room in there. And they wheel me back. Of course, I'm awake, although they had given me a something like Valium just to relax me, I guess, to ease some of the anxiety. Being in medicine, I really didn't need it, but they gave it to me anyway. And so then we get back. They get me into the chair, onto the table. They set me up, get ready for surgery. The doctor comes in. Everybody from the time that I walked in that morning to the surgery, even in surgery, they are constantly asking me which eye, and they had marked it, and the doctor had marked it. And the doctor comes in, reevaluates, and asks me again, which eye are we doing? I said, the right eye. Should have 2 X's up there. And he goes, yes, I know, and I'm putting a 3rd one up there. And so they really take care to make sure you're getting the correct eye. So after that, he walked me through everything. He said, Mark, you're going to feel a little pressure. I'm going to put some drops in your eyes. I'm going to do this and do that. You're going to see a green light. You're going to see that green light split off and look like it's just wobbling all over the place. He says, it's all normal. He says, you just need to, and I just love this. You're not in any kind of a clamp or anything like that for your head. They have put in the retractors for the eyelid. But he says, you need to hold very still while this works for this next 1 minute. And he says, I want you just don't move any part of your body. That's always encouraging to hear. So I made myself a statue laying there on the table, and just didn't do anything. It only took about 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And he says, okay, we're done with this part. So at that point, the staff take me, the whole table, take me into another room where he does another part of the procedure. I guess that first part was just making the incision with the laser. I'm not positive about that. And then the next part is actually where they put the lens in and then do whatever they need to do. So again, no pain whatsoever. I felt a little bit of pressure here and there, but nothing like you get a pinch or something like that and you want to jerk, nothing like that. And he talked me all the way through it. He says, you're going to see some motions and things like that you're not going to understand. He says, it's all normal. Don't worry about it. And so and I could see, for lack of a better understanding, it felt like, or it not felt, but it looked like little things going like this, and, from this side. And I come to find out that's where they make the incision, apparently on this side. So he was probably placing the light adjustable lens on the inside. So then we get done, and I walk out with these fancy glasses, and I walk out with 2 other boxes of glasses. I walk out with this little fun thing, an eye shield, and of course I already had my drops at home. So they go over everything with me. Then you continue with your drops 4 times a day. And they said, did you put them in this morning? Which of course I had. They said, okay, another 3 times today, and then 4 times a day until I see you, or 4 times a day for a week. And then you go to 3 times a day. So I walked out of there, even with the lenses, or with my glasses, and even with my eye super dilated, I was still seeing better immediately. On the way home, I was telling my wife, who was driving, wow, the colors are just astonishing. Come to find out, cataracts causes you to lose some of your blue spectrum of light. And so It wasn't just the blues that I was seeing better, the greens, the different colored greens, the reds, just everything was just so much better. So I got home. So what happened the rest of that day? Well, I immediately, when I got home, I sat down and I told my wife, I said, I'm just a little tired. And it was probably just some of the adrenaline wearing off of me, some of the Valium type medicine that they had given me was still there. So I went back and I took a nap for about an hour. Not because I felt bad or because I needed to. I just felt like I just wanted to not use my eye for a little bit of time. And part of that was probably because it was so dilated. So I went back to bed, laid there for about 2 hours, but I did fall asleep for about an hour. Got back up. My wife put drops, because it was now time to do another drop, just one drop. Okay, that was painful. That burnt like crazy, that first drop. I have to admit that one was really bad. But it would be like putting alcohol, well, I don't know about alcohol, but it would be like cleansing a wound that you got on your arm. It's raw, it's still new, no healing had taken place. The next ones that day, so the 2 others that day didn't hurt like that one. And when I say it hurt for like a minute. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I got to rip my eye out or anything like that. It just stung and burnt. So the next one, like 3 or 4 hours later, 4 hours later, it stung. And then the one at bedtime, yeah, it stung, but a lot less than that first one right after surgery. So the first day of surgery went really well. The next morning I had a follow-up appointment with my doctor. So we're into post-op day 1. I go and I see him and I told him about the experience with the drops, and he goes, yeah, that's to be expected, and it should be getting better. So I told him that I was seeing a little fluttering over on the side on occasion, not even all the time, just randomly. I would just see this little flutter, and he says, well, that's because of the shape of the lens. There's these 2 edges, and you're seeing that one edge that just hasn't settled down yet because of all the inflammation that's still in your eyes, or in your eye. So the antibiotic drop also has a steroid. I forgot to tell you that. It also has a steroid to help reduce the inflammation. So what happened between post-op day 1 and post-op day 9, which was yesterday, excuse me, when I went back for my follow-up appointment. I did not get seen at that point in time by my surgeon. I got seen by another doctor in the group who was an optometrist, not the ophthalmologist. My surgeon was an ophthalmologist. But the optometrist, being that she works in this office, she knows everything there is to know about it. She just doesn't do the surgery. So I did have some questions for her. Again, everything was normal. Do not be afraid to ask your doctor, is this normal? Don't assume it, just ask anyway. Even being in the medical field, I knew that these were probably normal things after the surgery. So I still asked just to hear her say, that's totally normal, and then she'd give me a reason why. The reason that I'm wearing these glasses, because they gave me 5 different pairs of glasses for this. So let's talk a little bit about the light adjustable lens. What does that really mean? When you get a regular lens put in, it's a lens that they try to match to your eye to be able to see as well as you can see. With a light adjustable lens, I like to call it my bionic eye. At 4 weeks post-op, I have an appointment with one of the doctors in the group that will use a light to adjust this lens. Pretty cool, huh? I call it programming. What are they going to program me? But they can actually use this light. You go back once a week, following your surgery, starting at that 1 month follow-up. but you go back once a week between 4 and 5 visits. And each time you go in, excuse me, they will make an adjustment based on how much they need to correct your eye, if they need to. When I had my follow-up appointment yesterday, my optometrist that I saw told me my eye was 20/20 and maybe a little bit better than that. It's hard for them to still get a full reading on what my eye is because there is still some inflammation there. And so they want to give it 4 weeks before they start figuring out what needs to be adjusted. So what do I have? I have these lenses, and I'm supposed to wear these lenses anytime I'm indoors or outdoors with bright lights. So let's say if I had these lights turned off and it was just, you know, still light in the room, and I can do this for just a few minutes, I get these fancy lenses, which, watch out, aren't they cool? So I can use these. Now, just doing that, my eyes, I can really feel the brightness in my eyes. And that's because even though I'm indoors, I've got a window over here, blinds are closed, but lights give off some UV rays. So if I was in a room where it wasn't as bright, maybe turn off some of these lights, then I could wear these. And these are the ones that I wear most of the time. The other ones that they gave me look very similar to those, except they have down here on the bottom, I don't know if you can see it in the pictures, but they have like a magnifying lens so that for people that need that other, like bifocals, to be able to see up close. I don't need to do that because when I had my monovision, or when I had my LASIK vision done, I was able to get a distance eye and an up close eye. Now, even though this one still has a mild cataract in it, it's not giving me any problems. So I can see up close without having to use the bifocal lenses, and I can see in distance because this eye is actually kicked in and started working. The other two lenses or glasses that they gave you are very, I mean, they're just like this clear pair and this pair, except they're to go over, I can take it out, but they're to go over other glasses. You can kind of see they're kind of clunky looking, so I could wear them over another pair of glasses if I needed to. I don't need to because I don't normally wear glasses. So I end up using these pair. And I can tell you, after not wearing glasses for 12 years, having to wear these all the time is a real pain. I don't like it. I don't need to wear them at night. When I say at night, at bedtime. But even with a TV on in the room, they want you to wear your clear pair. And like during the daytime, as long as we don't have a lot of lights on in the room, I can wear my clear pair of glasses and I don't have to wear these. Now I can still see with these on. They're very dark looking this way, but looking out I can see, but not as clear as I can see with this, but these still have a slight tint to them. So what's coming up next for me? Well, the next thing will be in about 3 weeks. And that is where I start my correcting or adjustments. We'll see what my vision does over the next 3 weeks. I may make some little short videos just to kind of keep you updated if you'd like that. After my adjustments, I'll probably make some short videos, nothing long form like this. And we'll just kind of keep you updated on what's going on. As of now, would I do this again? Absolutely, without a doubt. Is it worth the money? To me, it is. It's several $1,000s, but for my lifestyle, having glasses just doesn't work for me. Being a photographer, I need that camera lens right up to my face, or not the lens, but the the viewfinder up to my face, and I don't want to have to try to do that with glasses. So what have I missed? I probably have missed up some things. How's it been? It's been wonderful. It did take, and they told me this, it did take a little bit of time. And when I say time, it took probably 4 or 5 days for both eyes to start working together, meaning that I would be looking at something far away, and maybe like looking at this camera, but looking at the wall behind me, the camera would be out of focus, then all of a sudden this lens would kick in, or this eye would kick in, and it would come into focus, and that, so it'd be like that, but only for a couple times until I blinked my eyes, and then everything was back to normal again. So that, but that happened even after my LASIK surgery, when I did the vision like that, a distance and a up close. It did it after LASIK, and it you know, it works itself out. Your brain is a wonderful machine and figures it out. What have I got to look forward to? I did ask my doctor yesterday, my optometrist, what is the adjustments like? And she says, well, I'm a good person to ask because my husband is the one that does it. And so I said, okay, cool. Lay it out. I'd rather know what I'm walking into than having that unknown. She said, plan on about 1.5 to 2 hours at each visit, probably more time at that first visit. She says they will go through all the A or B or C, you know, X, Y, Z, you know, to really see what I'm seeing best, or see what I'm seeing. And then I go in some sort of a machine. It sounds like your head just sits, you know, if you go into your optometrist, you put your chin, your forehead up against something. And then she said it's a very, and she went just like that, a very bright light. And I said, okay, cool, I can handle that. She says, yeah, you'll get numbed and you'll get dilated. And she says, but the dilation shouldn't last like your surgery dilation, unless the normal drops don't get you as dilated as they want. Then they're going to give you a little bit more, and it might last 24, 36 hours. But so she says the light is very bright, and you have to hold still and look at that light for about a minute. And you definitely need somebody to drive you there and back, obviously, because you're going to be dilated and you're going to get numbing drops, she says. She says because of where my vision is now, I might only need 2, maybe 3, she says, but I think that probably 2 of the adjustments, and then the final 2 is where the procedure actually locks it in at that adjustment. And she says those 2, it's a very bright light. She again informed me it's a very bright light. And I asked what color, and she says, you know, it's been so long since I've been in that room, I'm not 100% sure, but she says it's very bright. She kept mentioning that very word very often. And she says, but you'll have to do it longer. And I said, okay, I'm sure there's been thousands of people that have had this done. I can do it too. So that's kind of where I am. My experience so far has been great with these lenses. I have not exposed my eye to the outdoor sun, full sun. Even with this, I have not exposed them with this because apparently they're giving you these UV resistant glasses for a reason. And since the big old orange thing up in the sky is nothing but ultraviolet rays, I figure I better wear these all the time when I'm outdoors. That's the other thing I probably should have mentioned. That first week that after your surgery, they prefer you not to go outdoors. or at least my office, my doctor didn't want us to go outdoors. I live in Florida. He says, so try not to if you can. Obviously, if you're just driving to and from his office, that's okay. Because I was getting cabin fever, I'd step out on the front porch, but usually at night, well, nighttime, usually in dusk. And but the rest of the time I stayed indoors. They definitely don't want your water or any water to get into your eye in that first week, so no swimming. We do have a swim spa. I didn't get into that. Haven't, even to this day, I haven't gotten into that. Obviously the sun exposure and dust, so don't do anything that you're gonna have dusty environment. The other cool thing that I had to do that first week is wear this at nighttime. So what this does is this goes onto your eye like this, and you tape it into place when you go to bed. And what that does is it keeps you from accidentally reaching up and rubbing your eye. It was a pain. I have to admit, for me, it just felt weird. And I woke up several times during the night. My eye really never itched and hasn't ever itched. The couple times that it did, it was very mild and I didn't really even need to scratch it. So just wanted to go over everything. So I appreciate you guys watching this, and hopefully you got something from it. I will be posting some shorts over the next few weeks, kind of describing some of the details of the adjustments. But so far, I'm loving my eye. It's a brand new eye. It'll never need glasses, and that's what I really wanted. With my lifestyle, I'm so active, I need to just be wearing sunglasses when I'm outdoors and nothing when I'm indoors. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you learned anything, or if you think it'll help anybody else, please like it, share it, subscribe. I'm going to be making more of these videos as it goes along. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.